Broadcasting live from sunny South Florida, this is KMA Talk Radio. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. Your KMA crew, the Italian Scallion, Paul DeGracco, Alex Tavella, a.k.a. The GOAT, and always telling it like it is, Honest Abe.
I like to smoke them like the Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar, yeah.
Good morning to all our loyal listeners, libertarians, and lovers of the leaf. I'm your host, Honest Abe, and we are broadcasting live from sunny South Florida. This week's episode number 451 of KMA Talk Radio. And as always, I am joined with my trusty cohorts, our part-time producer, Paul DeGracco, and the man they call the GOAT, Alex Tavella.
Morning, sir.
Did we
look at that
have a
mug.
meeting this week?
Did we not what?
We had a live meeting this week, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, we did.
We had a KMA meeting this week, right?
Yeah, a real one.
We did.
Did we not discuss banter during the meeting?
Did we?
We didn't actually.
Probably.
No,
looking-
I guess
So you would actually submit an outline with nothing on there, just blank dots.
you know what? That's a mistake. I make mistakes.
I don't think banter came up once. That's funny. Usually it does. Usually it's like the first thing.
Well,
you go-
usually whatever we're talking about, I put in there. And I think we were just talking about.
Do you actually
the
look at your
Renaissance
own
Fair and your
outline before
story.
you submit it?
I
You
don't
actually
submit
read
it.
it
It's a live document.
Okay.
It's a live
you actually
document
look
that's
it
staying
over
live
before
all
you
week.
finish it, whatever you want to call it.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna talk about?
Why are you so flowery today, Abe? Are you going somewhere after this?
Yep.
Fancy.
Fancy.
Yep.
Yeah. He looks so
Very
dressed
fancy.
up.
I
So
should-
what
An
happened
homage to the luau.
I'm trying to. Yeah, it's almost a little luau-y. It's like modern luau.
Guess there's some floral pattern in it.
Why is Kevin boycotting you?
Who knows? Who knows?
He had a package stolen, I believe.
He did have a package stolen. He did have a package.
Well, how's that your
stolen.
fault?
No, it's not.
We didn't say, he didn't say it was.
And it's funny that Kevin should say that because oddly, him and the whole, so had a whole Philly crew come down, about 6 guys, and Kevin and another guy got here first, so we all hung out here Wednesday night, and I left because had to work and stuff. And oddly, Kevin became best friends with the anti-goat, just hanging out. So maybe they formed some,
Oh
alliance.
no.
And when you do that, packages suddenly go missing. So, that's what happens.
Know who you're messing with.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking of the anti-goat, he's been pretty quiet post Great Smoke.
He might still be recovering.
Did he ever make it back?
I don't know. He made it back and disappeared a few times. I don't know what he was.
Oh, really?
Up to. Oh, yeah. He was roaming the South Florida wilderness doing something.
You're right. I saw that. He was here for a little while longer. I got to meet him for the first time at the dinner.
He showed up at the dinner at about 9:45. Almost like that guy who showed up to the Great Smoke at 4:45. Yeah. Better late than never. Fashionably late, as they say. Yeah, so post TGS, we're about there, right?
What was that?
I said we're about there post TGS, right? Like
Finishing up stuff?
yeah, we're close.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we should be
Yeah.
pretty much got everything teed and dotted, I guess.
We're close.
Still reaching out to the virtual winners. I got 2
shipping
more guys
stuff?
to reach out to. So if you
Putting
want a
everything
prize,
back, inventory.
if
Go
you
ahead.
want a prize at the Great Smoke, and you were virtual, we sent out emails. So check your emails. There's still 2 more people I got to get a hold of, which I'll do right after the show.
Kevin being one.
Kevin Corblaze and William Brockett. So we'll shoot out an email right after the show. But yeah, it's winding down, and 2023 is already up in the works. We actually have all our limited releases lined up for 2023 and 2 lined up for 2024. So
How you like that?
Wow.
those are the ones you got to start earliest on, because that really takes time. So
I really
Can
want
I
to
bring up your post from this morning?
Whose post? My post?
Abe's?
What's Abe's post?
I'll show you. Hold on.
just
I had
didn't
these
scroll.
jeans for a while now. Brandy just noticed this message on the inside of the seam of my zipper. Hilarious. Never knew it was there. Brilliant. That's the whole thing with Lucky Brand jeans.
I never noticed
It's
it.
been a thing
Ever.
forever. Yeah.
My wife's looking at me. I'm walking in the back. She's like, lucky you. Lucky me. I didn't get it. It's like, no, your zipper. Lucky.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. So, yeah. Pretty genius. But I guess people knew it. I never noticed it.
I never knew it either.
Yeah, it's been a thing for a long time. They make great jeans, man. I've had them for years. I've probably had them since high school.
Comfy.
Lucky Brand jeans. Yeah. And they make the ones with that with elastic in the jean. So you get a little stretch in there.
Yeah.
That's what I can't go back to regular jeans anymore.
I can't.
I
even
always
make
have to
a
look
fat-
to make sure there's some spandex.
I can't
Jeans
even
are
make a
hard
fat joke
for me to
about you,
buy.
Paul.
Well, now you'll give it a couple months. You'll be able
6
to make
months.
another fat
6
joke
months.
about
We'll be back with the fat jokes.
I've already gained some weight back.
It's losing weight's not the problem. It's I keep finding it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem.
Exactly.
Right.
And finding time, I used to go when I was running, which was when I stopped when I first moved into my other house. So it's got to be 4 or 5 years ago now. But when I would like to run at night, so the kids go to bed, it's dark. I loved it. I would go running at night. But now living out here in the wilderness, you can't go outside, let alone run at night. The bugs are so insane since it's been warm here again.
So,
I stand out. I go outside.
In your pocket.
Yeah, will that keep them away?
Yeah.
Put what in your pocket?
I think
Dryer sheets.
Yeah, Brandy does that for
Yeah.
Halloween with the kids.
Yeah, we should do that for fishing.
and it works.
Rub
Oh, I'll
some
have to
dryer
try
sheets
that
in.
out.
You're not gonna do it.
I'm not gonna run.
I
Maybe
can
I'll
just
go
see a
outside with
swarm
dryer
of
sheets.
mosquitoes picking Paul up by his shirt and flying away.
Floating them away.
Listen, when we're pretty close with our neighbors across the street, so it's one of those things that like after dinner we all walk
You
outside.
just
and the kids
moved
ride
in.
their
How
bikes
can you be
together.
close with your neighbors across the street?
I'm just saying we have like a thing going.
I'm not close with anybody in my community.
I know, but you're antisocial. I know every single house on my block now. I know
I'm
every
not
owner.
antisocial. I just don't need to know my neighbors.
I like to know them. I don't have to be friends with them, but I like to know who they are.
You just
so that when
moved
the
in there.
news
How can
crews
you be
come over.
close with your neighbors already across the street.
He's
I'm just
cruising
saying
around
we
the
have a
complex in
thing-
golf cart already. So.
I mean, it's close. Like you wake up in the morning and walk outside and wave, and they wave back. Is that close?
Yeah. And
Okay.
our kids play together. So like after dinner, we go outside. The kids play.
Oh, that's close. Have they been over to your house for dinner yet?
I don't want them inside.
Oh, you're that close. This guy is so weird.
I mean, that's close enough. That's it's about as close as you want them.
Neighbors steal.
Kevin, you're
package.
right. Neighbors do steal packages. Oh, that poor guy.
Paul is a
Have you ever had a
stalker. He's
package
weird.
stolen off your? Have you ever had a package stolen off your porch?
I don't
No,
have
because I'm
anything
smart
delivered.
and I send them all to smoke in, so
Yep,
I know that
I send
somebody's
all
gonna
mine.
get it.
I send everything here to the office.
Everything.
I haven't in my last 2 homes, but in my home before that, I did. Somebody walked in. I had one of those like townhouses that has like a little gate around it for a patio, and we got what the hell was it? It was clothes. It was like dress clothes, and they were delivered. And somebody, you saw it on the camera. Somebody just walked in. Some guy from the neighborhood, don't know who he is, showed it to the cops. They don't care. Walks in, grabs it. I mean, what are they going to do? Run a serial database on who this guy is? Never saw him again. He just walked in, picked up the package, and walked right out like he owned the place.
I'm with you, Tom. I don't want to have major I work all day. I get home. I don't want to neighbors pulling me over and having conversations. Or whatever. And they're weird in my neighborhood. Like when you're driving by and they're walking, like they want to wave to you. Why are you waving?
What's wrong with waving?
I don't know you.
You're so antisocial.
Wait, hold on.
I
don't
wave to
know you.
everybody.
Do you wave at random people in the Publix parking lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not in the Publix parking lot.
What's the difference?
Unless
I
they-
don't know you. Just 'cause
unless
you
they
live in
let
my
me-
community. You're the 584th house in my community, and you're gonna wave at me as I'm driving by. It's weird.
When I'm on the golf cart, I wave to golf cart to golf cart, especially. We always wave. Like you wave at each
Well,
other.
you have a bond.
It's
there.
like the
You're
stupid
golf
thing with the
carters.
Jeeps.
Like the Jeep people.
Yeah, I hate the whole Jeep thing, but I'm kind of into it with the golf cart.
Okay,
Everybody
so
in a golf
I'm with
cart.
Tom.
Wait. So you hate the Jeep thing, but you are into the miniature version of the golf cart. Cool.
Yeah, because it's in my neighborhood. I'm not like on the street in the middle of nowhere, like where I don't live, and have somebody wave at me in the damn Jeep. I hate that whole. I don't know. It just drives me nuts. But I will wave in the golf cart to other people in the golf cart in the community. Why
Even
not?
if you
They're your
don't-
neighbors. Hey, how you doing?
They might. First of all, time out. They might. Okay, we're talking about like South Florida. We're talking about giant complexes. They're driving past you in a golf cart, which means they don't live anywhere close in proximity to your house. So technically, just because they live in the same development doesn't make
This is
them
my
your neighbor.
point. This is my point. I mean, they're all strangers, man. And it's really funny because my wife's the complete opposite. Like my wife knows like everybody in the neighborhood, talks to everybody in the neighborhood, and they're all like, what's the deal with your husband? I just don't need to talk to
Do
you.
you
man.
ever wave to your neighbor? If you come home from work and you see your neighbor like sitting outside or like working on the
I
garden,
don't
do you
know
like wave
any
hi?
of my neighbors. Like
That's
I
weird.
couldn't tell you what the neighbors to the left of me look like even. I mean, I've seen them, whatever. The neighbors to the right of me, I could recognize because their daughter babysitted for us for a while. But outside of them, I could barely recognize any neighbors in my
And
neighborhood.
do you say hi to them? Like, if you see them outside, you're like, hey, give them a nice wave?
Like if I'm driving?
No, like you're getting out of your car and you see them outside getting out
If
of
we
their
make
car.
eye contact, I give them the nod.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I don't want to
know.
open the door to a conversation, bro.
I gotta do the nod a lot.
Yeah,
in the
the
passing
nod.
up the
What's up?
stairs. But yeah, I don't.
You and I lived in an apartment.
I give
Do
him the Bill
you know your
Ragone.
neighbors?
I don't. Huh? No.
Do you know your neighbors?
Did you say do a Bill Ragone?
Yeah. I don't. And then keep it moving. No, I don't.
I don't like stop and like have a
I
conversation
mean, I know
with them.
one
But
of them, two of them, just who they are. I don't know.
No.
I don't know. We're different people. I just like to say hi to people. I don't
Paul,
know. I went over, introduced
Paul,
myself
you're
to
not-
all the people moving in.
Paul, you're not even.
Now that's
different
fucking
people.
odd. That's fucking odd.
What did
If
you
I'm
say?
moving-
What, I see them outside.
If I'm
see
moving
them
in, like
outside, I
I'm
go
fucking
over.
moving today. It's a miserable experience. I don't need you to come over and start. Hey, welcome to the neighborhood. Fuck you. Go leave me alone. I'm trying to move in. Hey, what did you
Well,
bring him like a
see.
pie or something too? Little housewarming gift.
Dave says I'm the weird one, but Paul calls his neighbors close and doesn't even want them in their house. I'm not having them in my house. What are you close? Oh, you wave at them?
I was
The kids play together in the middle of the street. That makes you close?
being nice in case maybe they're watching. I don't know.
Yeah,
could be
they're watching
watching.
KMA.
They-
They give a shit what you
They
do.
know the show. They know about the show. You think everybody on my block doesn't know about KMA?
But wait, you really
I
go
introduced
like
myself.
somebody's moving in across the street and you have to like go over there.
Not
and-
at the time that they're moving in, but
Paul
like when I
definitely
see
would.
them out and about.
Paul's
Hey,
the guy
welcome
that-
to the neighborhood.
Paul's the guy that knocks on their door with a pie. Hey, welcome to the neighborhood.
Right.
You know what's funny? Stephanie and I had this argument when our neighbors across the street moved in, who we had met a couple times before at events. When they were moving in, I was like, maybe we should bring them something. Maybe you could bake them like cookies or something. She's like, why? We don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the nice thing to do.
If
Is
you
it?
showed up at my doorstep with a pie, I just slowly close the door on you.
I don't know. It's a little fucking weird to me. I don't need your. I mean, do people do that?
Paul does.
Yeah.
besides
No,
Paul.
I've had people bring me wine. I had neighbors bring me wine. I had like our old house when the new neighbors moved in. We brought them a bottle of wine and introduced ourselves.
So if
Stephanie
you
was
bought me a
against
bottle of wine, I would slowly grab it for you and then slowly close the door on you.
Well,
Because
that's kind
that's
of what happened,
one-
and
Because
then
that's
they
sealed.
gave us a
I'm
gift
not
back.
eating other people's food that they've cooked in the kitchen. I have no idea who they are with their cats and their stuff up on counter. No, I'm not eating your pie.
That's
No,
true.
yeah.
I don't like eating baked goods from people I don't personally know. That's actually very true because I always think about that. Like there's like cat hair or dog hair or like I don't
You've
know what
seen
kind
it.
of house they keep.
I've walked down people's houses and their cats are up on the counter while they're making dinner salads.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah, I don't like that.
I mean, I don't know.
these are the same people that probably take the gravy from pasta sauce and like, here you go, kitty. And they're licking the spoon and then they put it back in the pot and stirring it. No, I pass.
Well, when you had a dog, did you ever let your dog lick your ice cream?
Yeah, that's me. And I'm not serving that ice cream to anybody else. I don't got a problem
True.
with that.
True. I'm just okay.
My dog's
Sometimes I
mouth-
don't have a choice.
My
They
dog's
just jump
mouth
up
is
and
probably
grab it.
cleaner than all my kids' mouths, especially Asher. God knows that guy puts everything in his mouth.
See, look, here's Casey. Now, I don't know if that's making a
Proof
good
and
point for me or
point.
not.
He just proved
Yeah.
our point about weird people in your neighborhood. There you go. Just proved my point.
Oh man. No, Coop. I don't like doing community trips because then
Disney's
everybody,
awesome.
when people, especially first timers to Disney World, they always want us to like help plan their trip. And I don't, I'll talk to them about it, but I don't want to be there with you because I know what to avoid. I don't want to wait on lines for things I don't care about.
Yeah, I don't like community trips. I'm against community trips, community dinners, and even community ordering lunch.
Did you see Chris Herniak's comment?
Oh Jesus Christ!
Don't
Don't put that up.
Oh my God.
put it up.
Yeah, you want me to?
No.
I can't put that up.
Yeah, no community dinners, no community ordering out.
Let me ask you a question, Abe. Does your community do like events? Like
I wasn't-
every week there's a new
Not,
event here.
like,
I'm
developed.
Like we
sure
do
they
wine
do, but I
tasting
would
events.
know.
Does your wife go to them
Hell
with the kids?
no.
Oh wow. All right. We do all
Getting-
that stuff. They're
getting-
going to
getting
they're going
to
to the
know-
dog show this morning.
Getting to know your neighbors only opens up interaction that you don't want. You know, when there's an
Like
issue
when they ring the
in community
doorbell?
and they go knocking on people's doors to talk to you about it, they come to my door and goes, we'll skip that one. Let's go to the next one. You know,
I
it
like
takes
that.
you out of the loop of all that crap that comes out of living in a community. I mean, yeah, there's some good stuff, but I just rather miss out on all of it.
I don't know. The kids like the stuff that they do here. They do like parties for next week. Every day next week, there's an event for the kids for spring break.
You know what I do? I take them to a
like,
park where there's a bunch of strangers. They play, they interact, they go home. We don't know anybody. It's great.
Yeah, they're at that point too. Like if you brought your kids there, they just run off and go to the playground and you can sit down and chill, right? Like my kids, I still have to like kind of be on top of them a little bit. Or Axel every 5 minutes. Daddy, can you play with me?
What
like
are you
there's
worried
40
about?
kids
In
here.
another
Go
couple
play with
months,
them.
Axel will be as big as you.
Well, anyway, I guess I'm a neighborhood guy.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah, why not? I moved into a neighborhood like this. I should embrace it.
Like
Well,
what?
It's a very communal, family-friendly, everybody's pals. There's events, wine
I don't
tasting,
know.
bourbon
I don't know.
tasting,
I need to do some
cigars.
research because
It's
I
very
feel like maybe
communal. It's like Waco,
everybody's
Texas.
probably like, oh, here goes this fucking guy again. Oh, how you doing?
No, it's not me. I don't put
Oh,
any
here
of it
comes
together,
that guy.
dude.
Oh, hey.
I'll send you our community newsletter. I'll
Your
forward it to you.
community newsletter.
Yeah, every week we get a newsletter. It's called What's Sprouting because we have a farm on the property as well.
You have a farm.
There's a
This
5 acre
sounds like
farm
some
here.
kind of fucking communist commune.
It is a communist commune,
Hippie
man.
communist camp. You guys are all out in the fields farming together.
No, we don't farm together. There's a 5 acre farm. There's two full-time farmers, and every month you get a crop share. Every house gets a crop
Oh,
share
Are
of
you
what they
serious?
grow.
This is totally
Yeah.
some,
This is weird. It's two
Communist
full-time. They hire
commune.
farmers. It's not.
huh?
We don't do it. Like it's not like we're out there in the field.
And what do you do?
What you get a crop share from the farm?
Yeah. So every month we have a set date. It's all like on this app called the
So have
Harvey
they
app.
argued about
for
what they're going to
harvest.
plant each season yet?
No, it's up to the farmers completely, but that you can choose what you want from the crop share. It's not a lot of food, but like we get like this month we got a big bag of mixed greens. We got a big thing of kale. We got a couple habanero peppers. We got a bunch of squash, a couple of eggplants,
Keep
and a
the
bunch of
eggplants
plum
and the
tomatoes.
peppers and start a bonfire with the rest.
See, this is how it starts. Next thing you know, it's communal showers and communal odd churches pop up on the
Dude,
grounds.
no.
And, you know,
There's no churches.
That's how it starts.
There's a separation of church and state.
Dave D, is this even real? Dave, it is absolutely real. Are we really shocked? This is a child of a Disney cult. Did you think he'd prefer to live like in any other community? I mean, the only thing he's missing in his community is Mickey Mouse, and he'd be like living in Disney World.
I just feel like
Well,
we're
that's
gonna
not
be
true.
watching this
Mickey Mouse
gonna be
was here
watching
for the Christmas party.
on Netflix in like 5 years. You know, Wild Country, or
Well, okay, I'm 5 minutes down the road from Abe, maybe 8. It's not like
You're
that
far
far. It
enough.
feels
Trust me.
far.
Okay, I've been to Abe's house. There's no communal farms in the area. I mean, I can vouch for that.
No, there's nothingness around his community. It's all horses.
That's the way I like it. Dude, I'm telling you, this week's comments are the funniest I've seen. You see Kevin's community newsletter?
No.
Paul moved into Florida, Jonestown.
Oh,
I shouldn't see. I should just know better than to even talk about this stuff. I'm gonna forward you the community newsletter, Alex, because now you're gonna really appreciate it.
I don't
You
know.
guys-
But it's called the What's.
Do you guys all get together like one time a month and put all your car keys in a bowl?
No, but it's funny you mentioned that because I've become close with a couple of kids' parents that Axel plays with, and a couple of the guys are like, dude, there's like an inner thing here with the swingers, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's
you
like,
live in a
yeah.
cult.
He's like, he said there's like 5 or 6 couples that were all pretty damn sure that they all like couple swap, and I was like,
Benny's a goddamn prophet.
Right? There you go.
oh wow, he is. Look at Ben. Ben always has good shit to say though. Oh man. Anyway, let's get off my my community.
Well, our next guest,
Yeah.
our guest this week on KMA Talk Radio, I believe would be a neighbor, kind of like probably Paul DeGracco in the neighborhood. Let's find out. Time for our Meet Your Maker segment.
I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell.
It's time to meet your maker.
Good morning,
There he
Dr.
is.
Gabie Kafie.
Good morning, guys. I'll tell you what, it's great watching the show. I was sitting in the back room watching the show, listening to you guys. Every neighborhood is wacky. That's all I got to say.
Are you a neighborhood guy?
That's fair.
He's gotta be.
No, man. I think I'm like a coyote, right? I like to piss on my property. And
Do you know your neighbor's name to either side of your house?
actually, I do. See, I live on a street with 20 houses. That's it. It's a private street, 20 houses. It's fucking hard not to know your neighbor here.
I've done a good job of not
that's
knowing
like
anybody
here.
for 15 years.
Wow.
I don't know anybody.
Well, you're a busy man.
No, and
probably.
Abe's community is very small. Abe's community is very small compared to most communities in South Florida. So yeah, it is weird that he doesn't know any of them.
I've just perfected the vibe that I can emanate, which is like, I don't want to get to know you. People
You know
sense it.
what?
They just don't talk to me.
I think living in South Florida, whenever there's a hurricane coming, that's when you really get to know your neighbors. When the power's out for a week and you ain't got shit to do, you're standing outside. That's when you find out who has a generator and who doesn't.
That is true. That is true.
It's the complete antithesis of how I live my day life. You know, late life, I want to know everybody.
Yes.
You know, but when I go home, that's like my time for me. I don't want to deal, interact,
Yes, man.
socialize.
You guys are extremely
I mean,
social.
and let's face it, Paul's a perfect example. 9 out of 10 of your neighbors are just going to be weird.
Well, does Paul work 9 to 5, or is he,
Paul, we still don't know if Paul really works.
Paul claims he works from home, but we're not really sure.
I think Paul lives off
This
his
is my
wife.
office.
Yeah, I think Paul really lives off of Stephanie and fakes like having a job so he doesn't look unmanly to the universe.
Oh, dude, listen, I'd be the first to embrace it if my wife was the sugar mama in the house. I'd be all over that. Let's go.
Okay, life goals.
You can do it any day.
Life goals.
No, but you know what? All the neighbors know me as the cigar guy. So every Friday night, every Thursday night, they're all jonesing for a cigar. I get a text message, "Yo, could I get a box?" You know?
Oh yeah, that's a neighbor I'd love to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're like pushing Abe away from this idea so much.
Socializing, right? That's even worse. I love rums, and the neighbors know I've got good rum here. So late at night, the wife goes to bed. They start walking outside. You see the golf carts going by. They're hoping the light's on.
You're in a 20-house block. Why do you need a golf cart?
That's how they roll, man. They got golf carts here.
What do you golf cart 3 houses over?
They do. They really do.
Wow. I got a golf cart garage. I would never own a golf cart.
Yeah, you do. I was actually going to ask you about that. You wouldn't have a golf cart? You got the perfect community
We
for a golf
converted the
cart.
garage into another room.
Nice.
Is that what that technically is? Is that like golf cart garage?
Yeah, that single garage is a golf cart garage. That's what it's made for. I mean, you can get a car in there. It'd be tight.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I
you could
can't
get
do
like a
golf
small.
cart.
You wouldn't be able to get his car in there, but you could get a regular sized car.
yeah,
In
you
there.
get a regular car shop.
We have the
but
same thing.
It was designed for a golf cart.
Do you have a golf cart, Dr. Kafie?
No. I never broke down, man. You could walk this thing.
Don't do it, Doc. You'll
I'm
have to
not
start
doing
waving at people.
No. You know what? I think I'm half. I'm half Abe and half Paul, but not Paul's a little extreme though. I don't do that. I don't do that crop sharing crap. And I live close to the Redlands, so I could do that, but I think it's safer to buy groceries at the fucking produce store.
I agree.
I don't know
Listen.
if somebody took a shit on the field, wiped his
It's
ass
called
with a leaf.
fertilizer.
Yeah, exactly.
Corey Woodward If I had a golf cart, I'd need one for each foot. I'd drive them around the neighborhood like roller skates.
Just so everybody knows, this isn't. I didn't like invent this thing. It's part of the community. And by the clubhouse, there's a farm. There's a barn, and behind that is a 5-acre farm, and they grow fruits and
That's
vegetables.
great.
And they
That's
We know
great.
you didn't. We know you didn't create it. You can't even create an outline every week. We just
right. When nobody
I mean,
was
seriously,
under
do
the
you think anybody
impression
thought
that
you
you
put it
created
together?
a crop share, Paul.
Right? The difference is you read about it and was bragging to me about it
embraced
before
it.
you moved there. Oh, listen to this.
Yeah, it's
They get
cool.
to plant their own crepes, and we get to timeshare crepes, and we get pineapples and pickles every month.
You know what's funny is
they are building an orchard as well.
that's how it kind of works with tobacco in Honduras. You'll have guys growing tobacco. You'll have 3-4 little factories around there, and they kind of crop share, and then at the end of every crop season, they go out there to see what they can get. So
See, we're onto something.
it works with tobacco. I don't know if it works with fruits and vegetables. It's just not. I don't know. I think it's a good thing. If you like it, Paul, do it. All right, that's all that matters.
Thank you.
If you're happy, do it.
Much appreciated. These guys will never let me live it down until Alex wants some habanero peppers, fresh habanero peppers for whatever he's making next
We
week.
just run to the Trader
Then he
Joe's.
might- They're not the same.
I'll tell you guys a funny story, right? So 3-4 years back, we have an easement in the back of our property, and I figured, yes, I was in Paul mode. So a few of my wife's friends started, with their organic beds, and I'm like, you know what? That's a pretty good idea. So I cleared out this whole lot in the back. It's probably 15 feet wide by 100 feet long. I cleared it out, me and a couple guys, and then we started building organic beds. I did most of the lumber work, had a truck of soil brought out, 400 cubic feet, filled them up. I think I put 6 or 7 different organic beds, laid them out perfect. I planted easy shit, right? Like carrots. What do you call those little red? I forget the name now.
Cherry tomatoes?
Cherry tomatoes, correct. Rábano. In Spanish, it's rábano. In English, it's I forget the names, but I put 3, 4, 5 different things like mint. Who the hell doesn't grow mint, oregano?
It's so easy to grow.
But you know what?
Basil.
For the first 2-3 months, it was beautiful. Vivian, my wife, was out there. It's like this scene out of a movie. The butterflies fucking flying around. My wife out there with her little basket. That shit lasted about 3 or 4. Let me tell you, within 6 months, that shit had 6-foot-tall weeds growing on it. She's like, fuck this. It's too hot. I'm going to the grocery store. I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but like for us, if you got to take care of that, it ain't working. It doesn't work. No,
I'm
woman,
not taking care of anything.
No. My wife doesn't want to be out there. So I put fruit trees now. I got a bunch of fruit trees that are very low maintenance, and it's easy to take care of.
So that's the closest thing that I can say that I've had as a crop share. When I lived in Philly, our neighbor to the back of us, who was literally right there, he had a fig tree in his yard, and whatever hung over our side was ours because it was on our side. That was kind of
That's so. I love figs. Fresh figs, nothing like it. Pop them in a brown bag.
That's my crop sharing experience.
Fresh figs, nothing like it. That should be a t-shirt for Paul.
You know what? I'm not. I shouldn't even defend myself. I can't. There's nothing
Alex,
like a fresh
Alex,
fig.
please, that's an audio bite right there. Please find it. I could do a lot with it, please. Oh, fresh figs, nothing like it. Oh yeah, dude. Please find it.
I'm gonna be a non-active participant for the rest of the show.
Paul just had a virtual orgasm over fresh figs.
Yes.
I love them.
Figs are
And what's great about having figs in Florida, South Florida, if you've ever done it, is they bloom twice a year. So you get 2 crop shares from your fig tree. But mine keep dying here. I don't know why. So I keep getting clippings from Stephanie's grandfather, and I can't make them live. They don't want to be around me.
So Doc,
Yeah, how are you?
I saw a post this week. Were you behind the wheel of a car?
I was, man. I
That's
was.
the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
What happened?
People don't realize.
We've had you on our show before.
Yes,
We've talked,
I've come up.
You have a serious eye situation where you're slowly losing your vision. So what happened? That I saw posted you're behind the wheel of your car.
So I don't talk much about it, but once in a while it's good to bring it up because people a lot of times are saying, "Where the fuck is Gabie?" And the thing is that
that's a new segment. Where the fuck is Gabie?
yeah,
I like it.
I like it. What happened is a long time ago, it's 2008. I developed an eye condition that caused both my retinas to partially detach.
Oh.
So my left eye, where it detached was in the central vision. So if you got no central vision in one eye, you have no depth perception, and so that's what really brought my medical career to a halt, because I used to do a lot of small procedures and surgeries, and I couldn't, with one eye you can't really be in the OR. So the other thing that affected was driving. For about 3.5 years, I wasn't allowed to drive at all because in the state of Florida, you need at least 20/50 in one eye to drive. You guys know, like 20/20 eye vision. You've heard about that, right?
Yeah.
Right, of course, yeah.
So I wasn't even at 20/50 in one eye, and which is kind of like, put yourself in my shoes. Like here I am running a company, and it's really difficult operating with one eye that is at 50%. So if my packaging sometimes looks, if you find little errors in our packaging, you'll know why. Okay. But yeah, man, I was in my truck this week, and I had a meeting with somebody. I had a meeting with we're picking up a new sales rep for the state of Florida, Ray Granja. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's great. He's an old friend of mine.
Ray Granja sounds familiar. Where is he from?
He's right now he's working with Carl Malone with a cigar called it's called Carl Malone. It's a barrel aged cigar coming out of La Aurora. He's also the representative for the rum produced by the factory, La Aurora factory.
Okay.
So I met with him, and I also met with our distributor from Ghana. He flew in. He was in Miami. We met at a cigar lounge a few miles from my house. But what's funny, I left early because I can't drive at night, so I leave before sunset. And it just hit me, man, like how many people take driving for granted.
Yep.
And everyone's always looking, what car am I driving? What do you drive? What do you have? The price of gas. And you can bitch and moan all you want, but let me tell you something. It is such a luxury to be able to get in your car and just go wherever you want, whenever you want. I remember back in the old days, my dad, God rest his soul, man, late at night, he'd sometimes go out for a drive just as meditation and just to relax. I don't know if your dad's ever did that. Go out for a drive.
I do it. I still do it.
Yeah.
I do it in the golf cart nightly.
I do it in the golf cart.
No, I do it. I do, especially if I'm listening to a podcast. I'll take an extra loop or two around.
Yeah, it's the only time I like driving. I hate driving any other time, honestly. But I like to take a couple minutes for myself. Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm out and it's late at night, I never get on the highways because high speeds are really. I'm the guy that I could be a good distance from a car. And then at the very last minute, I'll start braking. So I got to basically stick to roads where the cars aren't moving fast. And I sneak out. I do my things, not bad things, but I go out. I take the back roads, drive home. I live off Old Cutler Road, so it's perfect. Everyone's going 30 miles an hour. I can go from here all the way to downtown Brickell. I can get everywhere. So it's good stuff, man. But, it's interesting you bring that up because my hearing, my sense of smell, and my sense of taste, ever since this started happening 10 years ago, have shot through the roof.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like I've become hypersensitive with my hearing. So then I'd taken psychology classes, and I know how the brain works and how different areas of the sensory system work. And so the human body tends to adapt and evolve based on what deficits you have. And I had always noticed these things 3-4 years after my eyesight went south. But as time progressed, man, I hear everything, like even little humming sounds, and it's really annoying sometimes. It's really strange. So to go to bed, I gotta put AirPods on and listen to some.
I'm the same way. I'm the same exact way.
I can't fall asleep if I don't have a podcast going or something.
But I'm the same exact way. I mean, especially when I'm like trying to go to sleep, that slight that I wouldn't hear all day, that slight tick of the fan or something, it'll keep me up.
But I think it helps. Do I think I have these super sensory taste buds? I think I do, man. And as far as smell, also, I think it's really important in what we do with cigars.
I tease my wife, man. She's got canine sense of smell. Like it's nuts. She could smell our kids like from across the room. Goes, "Did you shower today? Come here. Oh, you're muscular."
You know what? I'm going to tell you.
I hug my kids every day, multiple times a day. I've never walked away saying, "Oh, you need a shower." But she'd be right, man. She'd be smelling them across the room. Like, no, we didn't shower. Go shower. It's crazy. She's got canine sense of smell.
I'm one that believes that women have better taste buds, a sense of taste. I think it has to do with the estrogen. Really, it does. I wish we would see more female cigar reviewers out there, because there's like 1,000 guys reviewing cigars.
True.
Very good point.
Are there any notable female cigar reviewers that we know? I don't know any.
I don't know if they're reviewing. There's a lot of female personalities. I don't know who's doing. I don't know.
There's an opening right there. That's actually a great observation.
Do reviews.
Yeah, me neither.
I do observe the females a lot. Yes. It's a joke. Calm down.
That would be cool. Is cigar? Oh, they're saying Cigar Vixen. She doesn't review cigars, does she? We've had her on the show.
So she talks about cigars.
Yeah, she may do reviews. Actually, I think she might.
But I don't think she's rating cigars. Like, she doesn't slap a number on a cigar.
True.
Yeah, you might be right. She's cool though. We've had her on the show. She's really nice.
I don't know.
There is one in Europe, Pandora. I know of that one. She's the only.
You got her on speed dial?
Pandora's out of Europe. You could find her on Facebook or Instagram. She's pretty cool. But of course, she does her reviews, I think, in German, so. But
speaking of bloggers and reviews, it was an interesting couple of weeks this past couple of weeks. A lot of talk from the Boutique Cigar Association regarding, I guess the Half Wheel article that came out. And I think you made a couple statements on that, didn't you?
I made it, of course, man. I'm very vocal all the time. I think so much has happened in the past week that I think Thursday, the National Academies of Science basically dropped information on their scientific review of what premium cigars are, and basically what they recommend to the FDA in the sense of their findings, right? But before that, right now it's there's too many people crying for attention every time a cigar comes out. And what's happened is it's a thing that only happens in America, okay? It's something about America that drives people to create brands that are just provocative. Like, so what happens is everybody's talking more about the brand or the branding than the actual blend. So I don't know.
Well, there's companies that made a whole career doing that. Well,
I completely agree, but I think right now we're walking on eggshells. So listen, there's the business part of how many cigars did you sell this year, and then there's the longevity portion as to, do we want to operate in an industry that's going to be heavily regulated by the FDA? So right now we're at that crossing point where they're watching everything we're doing. They're looking at Cigar Aficionado. They don't like the fact that there's this glamour component to cigars. The FDA and NASM came out and basically said it. They don't like the influencers on social media that make it look like it's something amazing. Oh my God, you got to have a cigar. Because if you rewind 25, 30 years, the same thing happened in the cigarette industry. Every movie star that was smoking a cigarette, Yeah, they still do it, but they came down hard on that. But I think the branding is really a problem. However, you got to look at the arguments also coming from the people that are creating these brands. They're not selling their products in places where children or people under the age of 18 have access to those products. So that's the fine line that, okay, the FDA sees this, they're going to bitch and moan saying we're targeting youth. But then the business owners are coming out and saying, whoa, 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 whoa. We have a private club. We have a private store. We don't allow minors in. So there's some, look at branding for craft beer. You walk into Total Wine, you check out the craft beer section, it looks like freaking Toys R Us.
Okay, so as someone who I would consider far above average intelligence, Doc, let me just say this. How many 7-Elevens, Circle K's, Walgreens, across the country have cigars in them? A lot. A lot.
Yeah, but the only
hold on. I'll guarantee you, without knowing this statistically, there's way more than those than there are cigar shops in the country.
Correct. 6,000. Okay. There's 6,200 of those.
Okay, so that being said, do you not feel that children have access to those places?
100%.
Okay, so therefore, is the plausible argument that we don't market to cigars as an industry? And I mean, look, premium cigar shops, I don't think there's a question that we don't attract children. Most people that walk into a cigar shop or a cigar lounge or a premium cigar lounge is well over the age of 21. And most of the newer businesses that have full bars, so you definitely have to be over 21. But that's not the issue. The issue is there's a segment of our market that is well beyond and way more numerically valued than the premium cigar shop. And knowing that we're being targeted, is it the FDA's job to decipher what's being selling where? I mean, hypothetically, couldn't these exact products that we are being made in this industry end up at a 7-Eleven? Why wouldn't they?
They 100% could.
And that's the argument that I think a lot of people are missing based on what you were just saying. There's a right, listen, there's a right to market, and there's a right to do things that work for your business. I don't believe in shutting things down, but we also do have a responsibility to the business to understand the climate and where we're in. We have been and always will be from this point moving forward an industry that we just have a walking bullseye on. I don't think that's changing.
Listen, tobacco is tobacco. They made that clear on Thursday's meeting. However, there's two types of people in this business, the premium cigar business. You got people that are planning to come in 5 years, 7 years, milk it until they can't anymore. And then you got people that come into it like me that want to spend the rest of their life making premium cigars. So there's a disconnect. And we see the disconnect because I could list 5 cigar manufacturers that have gone on rants, and I'm not going to go into naming names, but the old timers have gone on these massive rants, pissed off about the circus show going on in the industry. But at the same time, the industry is all of us: PCA, CRA, BCA, CAA, NATO. The industry is like afraid to do something about it. You know, I proposed self-regulation 2-3 years ago. I had a private conversation with Glenn Loop about self-regulation. A lot of industries self-regulate. The craft beer industry has the Brewers Association that has like 6,000 brewers registered, and they assist companies in being compliant, in education, in forums, in product development. It seems like the cigar industry operates like it's the Wild West. So right now, what everybody wants to do is point the finger and say, fuck that guy. It's his fault. It's her fault. This is no.
Let me ask you something. Is that what's being said, or is just the sheer irresponsibility or negligence or just don't give a fuck attitude is what's being pointed out? You know, listen, I have been guilty accidentally of stuff like this, right? So we used to have a Hot Weekly deal. right? And I used to have a very talented guy who would write copy for it every week, and he would tie it into something going on in current affairs in the world, and and they would superimpose my head, and it would be funny. It was a parody,
And they were hilarious.
They were very funny. I used to get emails. I almost
Yeah.
ran my car off the road when I saw your Hot Weekly deal this week. But we'd be so oblivious sometimes that we would do something unintentional and then get a lot of flack afterwards. So we did a back to school sale, right? Back to school.
Shit!
Oh yeah!
Oh shit!
School bus. Me coming off the school bus like in a 10-year-old body with my 40-year-old head, and
That's funny.
The second that email got out, my shit blew up.
Good or bad? Blew up.
No, I mean, it was just like, why would you do this?
Okay.
I mean, what were you thinking?
I remember it. It was really funny.
I could have fought the fight. I could have said, look, it's just simple marketing. And it's an email going out to adults. These are people who subscribe to us. I could make every plausible argument on why what I did shouldn't have been a big deal.
But you know what, Abe? You bring up a great point. You bring up the best point of everything that's been said the past 2 weeks. You just brought it up. And if you observe who is doing these things, it's the new guys. It's the new guys. And what's happening is when they do it, they see the backlash. So what's happened is I think they're being checked by the industry. And you will see if from this point moving forward, the same people do the same shit over and over, then I think that's, that's bad. That's really bad.
Well, that was my point. I took that email and that sale off our website immediately. There was just no point because, like you, I not only am I, plan on doing it for as long as I can.
Sure.
I've already been in it for 25 years.
Right.
Why do I want to subjugate my industry to anything that might put it at risk? It's not worth it. Look, it's like your children, right? Anybody, there are guys out there who are preaching how they're innovators and changing the industry, and they care about it. Well, treat the industry like it's your child.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
You love your children. Do you put them
Absolutely.
inadvertently at risk when you don't have to? That's the way I look at the industry. Why put my industry at risk unnecessarily for something that's really not that important? So I've made that mistake. I immediately respond. I don't try to. It's pointless to say it was it's very defendable from my position, but it was pointless to have that argument. So I think that's the biggest problem. And then you have the consumers who want to rally around these people they have fans for. And look, I'm all for it. Having consumer loyalty is great, but they're going to be the first ones that are going to cry when you go to black and white packaging, right? And you can't walk into a humidor anymore, and you got to start buying cigars the way people have to buy cigarettes. Because in my lifetime, not that long ago, cigarettes were just out on the counter. You could walk up, grab a pack, walk to the register, pay for it.
Yeah.
Most people
Is that true?
Yes.
What? Absolutely.
I've never seen that in my life.
Absolutely.
Never
They were
remember seeing that.
Listen, you could walk into places and grab cartons. They would have carton shelving. You pull your own carton out. You'd go to the 7-Eleven.
Wow.
The display would be right there in the register. You can grab the display and put it on there. And then it changed like overnight. You can't touch a pack of cigarettes until after you paid for it. You have no access to touch a pack of cigarettes. That's what's going to happen in the cigar industry. So while you want to rally, the manufacturers you love, realize there's a bigger picture and a bigger end game here. These are plausible things that will happen to our industry.
But you know what, Abe? Everything you're saying, if you're using logic, right, and you take emotion out of the equation, and it's very hard to argue against anything you're saying or anything I'm saying for that matter. With that said, when you look at a cigar brand, let's say there's I slap a Mickey Mouse band on this cigar, and so first of all, physically, I did not.
Paul would buy that up. You could charge him premium. You put a Mickey Mouse band on that cigar.
I have one. I have one. Disney used to do it. There's one right here.
That's not a Mickey Mouse band.
Disney used they had ones that did have Mickey Mouse on them.
Really?
So,
I swear to you. Yeah.
But the point is that think about this, right? Who's involved in the process of getting that product to market? First, you have a cigar factory. Second, you have a company that printed the cigar band. Third, you have the importers. then you got the distributors, then you got the retailers, then you got the bloggers. So at the end of the day, you've got like 7 different components of the industry that are promoting that product. So when I say,
all right, hold on.
Go ahead.
Promoting and manufacturing, you know, to try to tie in a guy who's making labels for cigars, not promoting a product. That guy has no clue.
But what Gabie's saying, I guess,
they're involved in the process.
Mickey Mouse bands, they're involved. They could say something.
Several checkpoints. Look, I was at Cigar Rings 2 weeks ago, sitting with Albert and Maria. They run the place in the Dominican Republic, probably the best place this side of the world where you can print cigar bands. And guess what? They've got things that they will do and things that they won't do, even when it comes to design. But the problem is there's a lot of, I love the term Jose Blanco used. He used it last weekend. And I'm sorry to reference Jose Blanco, but I don't think he cares. There's a lot of Mickey Mouse operations out there that'll do anything just to make a buck.
Yep.
That's the problem that we have as an industry is, you know, the regulations are a problem. Look, NASM came back and said 2 things. Sorry, Abe. Let me just finish this point.
Sure.
They said, number 1, tobacco is bad, period. And number 2, they said, well, based on consumption rates, usage patterns, and the fact that you don't really inhale cigars, the FDA needs to do further research. And here's the thing is, when NASM started doing a scientific investigation on premium cigars, there was a problem. The problem was that all the research that they had, the definition of cigar clumped in everything, including machine-made cigars, cigarillos, flavored cigars. Cigar was cigar. So all the research that they were looking at had clumped in. Mind you, if you look at premium cigars, this past year, 400 million cigars were imported into the U.S., yet there was about 5.5 billion of the other so-called categories of cigars. So the research that NASM was doing was focused on these 6 billion cigars that were imported. So I reached out to the director of the National Academies of Science. I literally called. I said, who's running this research investigation? It's a young lady named Amy Geller. She's the director. They had put together a symposium of 7 doctors, PhDs and MDs, to review the scientific literature to then come up with a scientific assessment of how to tell the FDA how to proceed. I said, whoa, I go, there's something wrong here because we have to clear up the fact that premium cigars are different. You can't do reviews of scientific literature that clumps us in with everything else. Now, our industry's done a fantastic job achieving the nomenclature of a definition for premium cigars. That's the $15 million that was spent in the past 5-6 years by CRA, PCA, CAA, and everybody that's dumped a fucking quarter in that bucket has been excellent. Everyone says, oh, we lost the lawsuit. We didn't get this. You know what? We got the definition premium cigars. The court adopted the definition. Judge Mehta adopted the definition of what a premium cigar is. So now our hurdle has been, can we get NASM to adopt the definition? And can we get the FDA to adopt the definition? So I took like 2 weeks out of my life, literally shut everything down, and I put together a 58-page research paper that I developed myself, talking specifically about what separates premium cigars from all other combustible tobacco products. This is all going to be public information. It's going to come out in their final report. And I focus so hard on the fact that we spend years pulling ammonia out of the tobacco compared to the rest of the industry. If you look at cigarettes, the cigarette industry is buying 50 million barrels of ammonia to spray on the tobacco because it's ammonia that makes the nicotine addictive. It's the ammonia that increases the volatility of the nicotine so that it's easily absorbed in the body. So when you take ammonia out of the tobacco, which is what our industry does, we sit here like fucking idiots. We take $1 million, right? We buy tobacco and we're sitting there just sweating it. It's not ready yet. What are we doing? We're removing the ammonia from the tobacco. So when you remove the ammonia, what happens is that nicotine goes from a volatile ion to a salt. So this nicotine salt is not absorbed by the human body. Because NASA, when I was talking to Amy Geller, she said, there's one thing we can't figure out, Doc. She told me this. There's one thing we can't figure out. Is we did a study on 2 people, one non-smoker, and we took another subject, another male. I wonder who that bastard was. I'd love to know. And they gave him a cigar to smoke. So 1 hour after this gentleman smoked a cigar, this gentleman never smoked. They ran tests to check nicotine levels in the blood. And you know what they found? They had the same nicotine levels. They were sitting there scratching their heads as to why it is that this guy just smoked an entire cigar and an hour later there's no nicotine traces. There is, because nicotine is found in so many vegetables like tomatoes. Nicotine is found in different things. But this 58-page research paper that I submitted on behalf of our association, the Boutique Cigar Association, really focusing on the nicotine ammonia and what separates us from every other. Because Mitch Zeller, I sat in on a meeting with the director of the Center for Tobacco Products, Mitch Zeller. And mind you, every time I've sat in on a meeting, it's because the industry has afforded me the luxury to sit in those meetings. Gentlemen like George Padron, Carlito Fuente, Drew Newman, Glenn Loop, they said, we can't go into that meeting without Gabie Kafie. That guy is still a licensed physician. I keep my license active. I do a lot of research. And they said, we want him there. And you know what? I don't take that shit for granted. When those guys expect me to step up, you know what? I shut everything down. I don't care if I sell a cigar for a week or 2 or 3, or you guys don't see me going from store to store because I'm doing other shit. I'm trying to literally save the cigar industry, doing the best I can with what I know. And I really do believe that 58-page article swayed them enough to come to the conclusion. Literally on Thursday, they said the FDA needs to do more research on A, B, C, and D. But we do know tobacco's bad. And we do know cigars have a lot of nicotine. But see, yes, there's nicotine in a cigar, but is it absorbable? Is it a nicotine salt or is it a volatile ion? And I gave them research from the NIH, from the Department of Health and Human Services, from the CDC, that the government funded itself. So it's kind of like, it's hard to argue with research that they funded.
There's been government research and argumentative data for secondhand smoke and nicotine that's been going on for a long time, probably will be going on for a long time. This is kind of a little bit tangent from what we started this discussion about. But you did bring up the Boutique Cigar Association, which I do want to talk about as we come back for the break. We got to take a small break. We're going to have William Cooper join us right after the break because he's also very enthralled in what's going on in this segment of our cigar industry. And we got a lot coming up in hour 2, more with Dr. Gabie Kafie. Tail of the Tape season 4. This is the first one, right?
Yes.
First week, episode 1 of Tail of the Tape season 4, and our brand new segment that replaced Cigar Insane Asylum after 10 years of KMA Talk Radio. Would you rather? All in hour number 2. Don't go anywhere. Keep it lit.
The H. Upmann 1844 Classic is a medium-bodied cigar with wonderful flavor notes of toasted almonds, cocoa, coffee, and just a hint of spice. Featuring an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper, you get wonderful aroma notes of sweet coffee and chocolate. Available in a Corona, Robusto, Toro, and Churchill, this is a great time to experience the nuances of nature with the H. Upmann 1844 Classic, a shade above others.
Surgeon General warning: cigars are not a safe alternative to cigarettes.
Where are we again?
We are deep in the Argentina Calqueque Desert Valley.
It is so beautiful.
It is. It's hard to believe that we're at an elevation of 8,000 feet.
What's down there?
That's the Mayoko River. It feeds just a few acres of dark Malbec grapes.
Wow.
Wow is right. From those few acres, only 9,000 bottles of this amazing Malbec wine are made.
How can people get it?
They can go to KMAwines.com and pick up a 3-wine sampler that includes this Malbec for just $69 and 50% off shipping.
That is awesome. We should head back down so we can order some right away. I'm not getting any reception.
Sounds good to me. I'll race you back.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of KMA Talk Radio. Our special guest this week, Dr. Gabie Kafie of Kafie 1901 Cigars, and our trusty, I'm having a blackout. What do you call a guy? A contributor, our KMA contributor. William Cooper will be joining us for Hour 2 as we talk about the cigar industry today and what's going on. Is he on?
He's on. I wasn't sure you were ready for it. Oh, wait, he's not there. He's coming back.
You can leave it on.
Yeah, all right.
It's Coop's chair.
Well, wow, you know, I would expect Coop. Oh, there he is.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Coop.
Good morning, Coop.
Good morning. The break was short. The break was a lot shorter today, guys.
Yeah, no break,
No CGS commercial.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's why I was like, yeah, normally I have like a few more minutes. So.
Yep. So we had a very interesting first hour. If you didn't catch it, go back and watch it later during the week. We talked about Paul's odd neighborhood habits, and Dr. Kafie and I got in discussion with a lot going on. So, Dr. Kafie, you mentioned right before the break the Boutique Cigar Association. I don't know how many people are literally aware of this. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Boutique Cigar Association, when it started, who's in it, what exactly is the purpose? Because, you know, I'm from the philosophy is how many more organizations does any industry need, especially one our small?
I agree.
As small as ours. But so tell us, you know, what exactly is the purpose of it as well?
What you guys are going to find is that I'm more in agreement with you guys than disagreement. But the BCA was started back in when the FDA deeming regulations went into effect August 8th of 2016. It was tough. There was a lot of unknowns. And what happens is the guys that can afford it, they hire the right lawyers, and the lawyers, like me, you know, I'm blessed to, since day one, I've had great legal representation. I have conversations with my lawyers. We have conference calls. Yes, it costs me $500 an hour, but I do it just to stay informed. But there's a problem in this industry in that there's a lot of very, very small players. I'm a small player, but there's guys smaller than me. And they literally don't have a clue. Even today, 6 years later, they don't know that the premium cigar industry is technically regulated by the FDA. So we are regulated, but what we're not is the regulations haven't been implemented yet. There's no enforcement. It's like imagine if you're driving down the road and you see a sign that says 65 miles an hour, but there's no cops to give tickets. That's what's going on in the premium cigar industry right now. That's why everybody feels they could do and act and take advantage of the fact that there's no enforcement taking place. So the BCA's original goals, the purpose was to really educate the small companies, help them. And what happened was my phone number and my email became the place where people would reach out and call. Hey, what's going on? You know, what can we do? What can't we do? You know, what? And it one company turned into 2, turned into 3, then 5, then 10. Then today we're up to 48 companies. Ironically, in December of 2021, I think it was, I think it was 2020. I announced that I'm stepping down. I literally, there was nothing more to do. I had reached my saturation point with the BCAA. I said, a part of me said it's a lost cause. Another part of me said, there's still a noble cause here, the education and awareness and getting people informed as to what's going on. Because if you try to reach out to one of the industry attorneys that represents premium cigar companies today, their panels are full. They're not taking on any more new customers, any new clients. So at that point, when I decided to step down, I literally took like a 3-month hiatus. I reached out to a few friends of mine that were part of the BCAA and they decided to put together a board. Today, the president of the BCAA is Armin Kaprelian. He's got a brand out of New York. There's a board of 7 individuals. I stayed on as the treasurer. However, the BCAA is still focused on keeping everybody informed as to what's going on with the industry. But that's the main purpose, is education and awareness. It's literally like a volunteer organization because there is no membership fees. There's no membership dues. It's free. It's a volunteer thing. It's not like we're a formal association where we're generating revenue. We're not. This is like friends coming together to help each other. That's what it's really all about.
Gabby, so I applaud what organizing for the BCA. I think you guys needed to organize, and I think it's been something that has to happen. But I am confused, and I'm not going to lie here. Are you a trade association or are you a social club? I think there's a big difference, and I'm going to be honest. I think the messaging has gotten mixed from time to time.
Personally, mind you, look, I'm on the show today, not the board, okay? So I'm going to answer this personally. The way I see the BCAA is a social organization. It's not a trade association. What the BCAA would like to do is eventually become a formal association, but it's going to require a lot of people getting off their ass and getting to fucking work. Okay.
Well, we know how that always works out.
Yep.
So, well, that's a good point. So I've said it, and I'll say it today publicly, and I may get enemies from this. Okay. I don't care. I don't, nobody pays my bills. I've told Glenn Loop, I've told Armin, I've told a lot of people that are in my, my network of phone calls. The BCAA is great because it literally brings together a bunch of companies. Some of them are worthy, they're known. There's 3, 4, 5 of them that are well known in the industry because the owners are 100% in. There's a lot of guys that are in this part-time. I don't believe in doing anything part-time, but there's a lot of people in the boutique cigar world that are doing this part-time, meaning they have a main job and then they do this on nights and weekends, right? But I see the BCAA as coming. It's good to identify all these companies, but we're not a trade association. And I've told many people that what we need to do is, okay, great, we've identified, because there's a lot of players out there that just randomly have their brands and they're selling, but we need to come in under a real trade association. And we need to have presence at a real trade show. And we need to pool our money and our resources to support the industry that has been fighting this fight forever. So that's my personal belief, is that we are not a trade association. We've taken the time to identify a segment that otherwise wouldn't really be identified. So these are all the people that, I'll give you an example. Let's say a PCA booth, a good showing at the PCA, and you guys know the numbers, is anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 for a minimalist approach to attend PCA. What I would like to see is for all these small boutique cigar companies to have a pavilion at PCA. I would like for us to find an affordable way to get these people on the main stage. That accomplishes 2 things. We become part of a legitimate trade association, and 2, our money, even though it's less, actually supports our industry directly. But I completely agree. This industry is tiny. It's so let me give you an analogy of how tiny this industry is. Last year, if you add up all the cigars that were imported into the United States, in terms of 40-foot containers, it was 160 40-foot containers that came from Honduras to the U.S. If you look at the coffee industry, 18,000 40-foot containers. Can I be more clear of how tiny this industry is? So the BCAA is great, fantastic. People helping each other, knowledge being transcended from the top to the bottom to people that need it. However, in order to legitimize what we're doing, we need to fall in under one of the main trade associations and become a part of them. PCA reached out to us, I think it was last year, and they said, look, we're willing to work with you guys. We want to give you guys a section. We'll create, 20 different booths. We'll make it affordable. This way you guys can be at the PCA for 30. I'm just going to throw a number out there. Let's say $3,500 all in, kind of like a TPE style presence at PCA. It was a great offering. I loved it. However, the 3, 4, 5 brands that could go, 3 months is really short notice for us to be able to bring together 20 people that could attend something like that.
That was last year.
That was last year.
All right. So are there plans for this year?
There haven't been any talks this year. There haven't.
The follow through is amazing.
But has anyone just reached back out to the PCA? If you guys are interested, if you guys reach back out to the PCA and say, hey, we have interest here, let's make this happen.
I'm at the point, Coop, where, 50% of me is kind of like saying to just move forward and focus on Kafie 1901.
I've been in that boat, Doc.
Yeah. And then the other half of me, the doctor in me, the doctors like to help, right? We like to do shit and not get paid.
It comes at the expense of our own business. I suffered that in 2018.
It does. Yes, William, look, after Nassim's report, I got to be honest, everybody wanted to get together to see what happened at Nassim's report. So I get a call from Mike Cooperman over at CRA. Hey, Gabie, CAA, PCA, CRA, NATO, we're having a private meeting. We want you to be there. That's huge, right? But you know what? I don't see myself as the president of the BCAA anymore. So I said, hey, do you mind if I invite Armin? He's the guy running the BCAA. Let him attend the meeting. So again, I'll say that it's a huge privilege for us to be included in these private calls to talk about what's happening. But there comes a point, it's like you're in a bar fight and there's 4 of you there and one of them's not throwing a punch. So there comes a point for me, I think I'm at that point already.
We feel that every Saturday with Paul.
I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question. Maybe I might be taking a step back a little bit, but does the BCAA have a set definition of what constitutes a boutique cigar company? Because it's a term we hear a lot.
So there's a philosophical approach and then there's a numbers, right? So initially the number was 500,000 cigars or less per year. Then we pushed it up to 1 million because we had a couple people that were selling more than that. But I have trouble arguing with the philosophy of a boutique cigar. And I'll tell you very straight up, you can go to Fuente and go to the Opus X rolling room, and that is a boutique operation. You can go to La Aurora Cigar Factory, and their cigars, their preferidos, the one that comes in those tubes. Right. They only have 3 rollers making those cigars, and they only make 100 cigars a day. So the word boutique has been used so much in the past that it's developed different definitions. We looked at it like the Craft Beer Association, the Brewers Association, they set a line on X number of barrels, So we said, you know what, let's do the same for now. Let's set a mark. So initially, back in the day when this was starting out, we had talked to people like Robert Holt, Skip Martin. We had talked to a few people and they were interested. However, they literally just said, you know what, let us sit back and see how this thing develops. And if I was to grade how we developed as a trade association, I would probably give us a D. I wouldn't give us an F because we have a pulse and we're breathing, right? Now, in terms of, I'm being honest. I'm telling you, I might make enemies. I don't care. But if we look at how did we develop in terms of helping 48 different brand owners kind of not feel so intimidated and just kind of understand where they stand and where their business stands and should they stay in and should they keep investing? I think that's where we get a really high marks, but that doesn't qualify us for a trade association. I'm a firm believer we need to pool our resources together and become a part of PCA. Now, there's people like, I'm not going to mention names. There's people that have been going to PCA for decades, right? But they don't feel the love from PCA. I don't know if I don't wake up every morning expecting to be loved by a trade association. I want my kids and my wife to love me, right? But there needs to be communication. I think things need to be made easier. Everybody's got to fucking get off the shitter, get some work done. I'm telling Vivian right now, even though PCA is right around the corner, we need to have presence. It's been long enough, 8 years in a fucking industry and not going to the PCA. We're a small family-owned business. I don't have sales reps, but we need to have a presence. It's time to support the industry. We support it in many different ways. Heck, I developed a coffee line where every coffee bag that was sold, the proceeds went to CRA. But everybody's changing and everybody's evolving. And I think one of the biggest evolutions that took place in the past 2 years was Glenn Loop leaving CRA. CRA was kind of like, okay.
Was that bad for CRA?
I think the answer is yes.
I'm going to tell you something. I couldn't tell you anything about how Glenn has affected the CRA outside of what I saw happen at the Great Smoke this year.
Please explain.
Well, Glenn would always be very active at the Great Smoke, contact me in advance. We would figure out how to sign up all these new members. We would come to some negotiation where I would prepay for anybody who wanted a membership. We barely had any communication. And within the first hour of the show, as I was walking by and I took a picture of it, there was nobody in the booth. Now, I know he was there because I saw him.
I saw that too.
Yeah, we saw it.
The booth wasn't decorated. No one was out talking to consumers. Whoever came, I can't even remember his name, came like an attendee. Like, I think he was just around partying and enjoying the event because we had allocated a booth space, which I could have sold to a vendor. We had 4 vendors we had to turn away for the CRA. And this guy wasn't present and didn't do a job that he's supposedly to do.
If when I got into the business, right?
So that alone kind of tells me if that's how my event is being handled with them, I can't imagine how they're handling other aspects of what's going on over there.
Great.
There's different people that have, I think personalities are different. And Glenn Loop, he is the reason that I developed this tremendous passion to not just sell cigars, but rather learn about the industry, the history of our industry, who has done what has gotten us to this point. There's some key people that have really sacrificed a lot of money to get the fight to where it is today. And, they stay quiet on the sidelines. Nobody talks about how much they've donated, but we know who the key people are. They're not sitting there asking, okay, how much did this guy donate? What did he do? What they want to see is they want to see an industry come together and really argue the same arguments that they've been arguing, because they're trying to save companies that have been. It's funny. Think about this, right? You've got companies out there that have 2, 3, 4, 500 grandfathered cigars, yet they're the ones fighting to keep the new guys in business. Does that make any fucking sense, you guys? If you are in a position where the perfect monopoly could be created for your business to grow 10x in the next 5 years, why would you even fight this fight? Wouldn't you just sit there and play dead and let everybody get fucking destroyed? Yet the guys that are fighting the fight to keep everybody in business and to keep the FDA in check are those guys that have the luxury of sitting on 100, 2, 3, 4, 500 grandfathered cigar brands. It's. I think people read into things too much. Oh, why is he doing that? What's the angle? There's no fucking angle. These guys are tobacco men. They're tobacco families, and they love the industry. They love the traditional nature of the stories. This industry is an industry of stories. Whether if it's a immigration story or if it's a first, second, third generation story of all the good things and bad things that have happened to families, of the fires, of the thefts, of the deaths that have occurred. This is an industry of stories, and there's a lot of pride that goes into keeping those legacies alive. Heck, our own family, the Kafie family. Anybody that Googles the Kafie family will learn there's a lot of things we don't talk about. The Kafie family has a foundation in Honduras that has helped build 78 Catholic churches in the country. They've not only helped build churches, they've built cafeterias for children. They've built preschools. I have trouble talking about the family foundation or all the other things. 200,000 employees are employed by our family in Honduras. And there's a lot going on. This is not just a BCA, CRA, PCA talk, but politically, the biggest changes are taking place in Central America right now. And I'll tell you what was one of the triggering factors was in December of 2021, Honduras elected a socialist president. And nobody in the cigar industry is touching that conversation because nobody's talking about it. The main airport in Honduras, which is in Tegucigalpa, if I don't know if anybody of you have ever been to Honduras, the main airport is in Tegucigalpa, in Toncontin. That's the name of the airport. Don't ask me why it was named that. Probably donated by Korea or something. But that airport was closed. So that airport was within 10, 15, 20 minutes of downtown Tegucigalpa, right? The biggest city in Honduras. That airport's permanently closed. The previous president, the freaking comments are great, but they're distracting. The previous president, just out of the blue, said, we're closing the airport. We're going to move it 2 hours away in the middle of nowhere. So now, wait a minute. So now when I want to go to the factory, so before I used to go to the factory, right? I'd fly into Tegucigalpa. I'd go to my mom's house, which was 15 minutes away from the airport. And then it was an hour and 20 minutes to the factory. And for us, being a small player, it was great because whenever we had shipments coming from the factory to Miami, it was an hour and a half drive to the airport. Now add 2 hours to that trip. So logistically, it's become a nightmare to be a premium cigar producer in Honduras. So unless you're shipping containers, there's really no benefit to being in Honduras as a small producer. And I'll tell you why, because all the trucks, like say if I'm going to ship 50,000 cigars to Miami, all of our trucks are open. You can't predict the weather in Honduras. You're going from a 2,000 feet elevation to you can't. There's no you can't look at the weather radar and say, okay, it's not going to rain. It always rains. And I don't want those open boxes in the back of an open truck on a 4-hour journey, hoping that the fucking guy didn't crash. So making cigars in Honduras is extremely difficult. Nobody's talking about the 2 hurricanes anymore that devastated tobacco crops. The pandemic that left Honduras without oxygen for 6 months. I couldn't go to Honduras for 6 months because there was no oxygen in the country. Imagine getting COVID, getting short of breath, and you go into a hospital, there's no oxygen. My family forbid me to come down. So there's multiple factors that are affecting the industry. The FDA is just one of them. We could see what's going on in Nicaragua. Nicaragua just booted out the Taiwan embassy. And they're making room to bring in China. Wait, what? So what? I'm stuck here. What's going on here? The U.S. is now opening up an embassy in Cuba. Like there's the ramifications that are taking place in the cigar business right now. They're at an all-time high. The greatest blessing we got was this.
I think the ramifications in a lot of industries are at an all-time high right now.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a common thing globally, Doc. I mean, it's not just cigar industry. It's we got in a car accident recently. I think I'm going to find out they're going to total the car. I'm hoping to find out tomorrow or the next day.
Wow.
I'm not going to have a car.
What do you mean?
There's no cars.
Oh my God.
There's no cars. In fact, Cadillac made me come in and order one 3 months ago.
Wow.
So I'd have one when my lease ends.
Wow.
And now I got another 4 months.
3 or 4 more months, right? Yeah.
I got 4 more months. I'm going to have to rent the car or buy a beater and drive around a beater until my car arrives. There's no cars. So it's not just our industry. It's industry as a whole. Coop, you look like you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, I actually was just, Gabby, you were just talking about the whole thing in Honduras, right? Now, you have made it, I'm going to infer, because I was going to ask you the question, you made the decision to move to the Dominican Republic. I mean, so I guess I'm not off base from some of the problems you had, but I guess the part that surprises me is, and I'm kind of curious, you've been there, your family's been there for a century. I mean, generations, you guys have been there. And now you made the decision to leave Honduras. And I just wanted you to talk a little more about, like, because I'm sure there was some emotional stuff that went into that. You've always talked about Honduras as
Yes,
long
yes,
as I've known you.
yes.
So maybe give us a little more on
I
that.
appreciate the question, Coop, and it's great that we're able to talk about this openly because when you say emotional, man, it didn't happen in a week or a month. It was more like 2 years of just gut wrenching. Honduras is my baby, like in our culture, in our culture, I say, our family is originally from Bethlehem, right? We're like the bald eagle. We're Christians from Palestine that are going extinct, right? We're like the guys that like really have been part of a diaspora that have traveled the world, and then we've ended up in countries all over, especially in the Americas. Most people don't know this, but if you look at Brazil, and I'll stay focused. I just want to make a point. Brazil's population is 150 million people, but most people don't know that 10% of that population are people like my family that ended up in Honduras. Christian families from the diaspora that was displaced after the Ottoman Empire and the British rule taken over that region. So there's a lot of us in the industry, and we all just stay quiet. There's other people. I can name 3-4 guys in the premium cigar industry that are major players that are Palestinian Christians, but they choose to not advertise that or talk about it. But look, we're a country of immigrants, right? So Honduras was a place where my grandfather set his roots. I don't know if I lost you guys or if I'm just looking at myself.
No, you're here.
No, you're there.
My father was born in the region. My mother, after being married, moved there. I was born there, raised there. Our entire family is there. Everybody. What happened the past 2 years is with the hurricanes, Honduras has a population of 9.5 million people. 1 million people were left homeless after those 2 hurricanes went through. So for us, our family in Honduras, different segments of the family, they own the electric company, they own the milk company, the cheese company. There's a lot of businesses that really affect how Honduras as a country sustains itself. So I was really sitting up front observing what was happening to our country. And there were certain factors that were not sustains it. Yeah, there were certain things that I like to think that there's stuff that we control as far as if you put a little effort, can we fix it? But there was a political climate in Honduras that was not fixable. And if you guys go back and look at what happened recently to the president of Honduras, are you guys aware of what's going on, or just is this news to you what I'm talking?
So I think for our audience it may be.
It's
it's
news to me.
So, I'll do a little show and tell. It's really devastating to the country. But Honduras's president was recently, first of all, 3 years ago, Honduras's president's brother was extradited about 3 years ago by the U.S., by the DEA, and he's now facing a life term in New York for doing some bad things, and it's drug related. I don't want to go into too many details because I don't need my
somebody be knocking on your door.
Yeah.
So there were bad things that happened. He was extradited.
Yeah, but what happens is when people in the government are participating in such activities, it really makes it difficult for a simple businessman like myself to try to really run a business where 2 + 2 = 4. Because again, I'm being very carefully, I'm treading these waters, but most recently what happened was that after the new president won, and the old president stepped down, the DEA ordered the capture and the extradition of the president of Honduras, who was there for 8 years, for the same reasons, right? So the political climate in Honduras at the present time, when it comes to trafficking and money laundering, is just not a place where I don't thrive in those environments. I don't think a lot of people do. So historically, our family was in a position where we had access to information, we had access to people, we had knowledge of kind of like, okay, you know, this is where we can help, this is where we can't. But this last 8 years, what the government of Honduras has done to Honduras is just destroy the country. And there's such a complicated answer, Coop, because this goes back to all the gangs that are also present in Honduras and El Salvador. You have MS-13, Salvatrucha. You got like all these gangs that are. So President, I forget who it was. I think it was the second President Bush. They deported so many. This 3 strikes you're outlaw from the West Coast in California. They deported so many gang members to Central America that what they began doing was they turned those countries into gang cities and countries. However, Nicaragua was really, because of the government they have, it was so militarized that Nicaragua was safer than Honduras. You know, there was a period of time for about 16 to 18 months where El Chapo went to live in Honduras. So here I am traveling to Honduras, and I'm talking to my sister's gardener who's taking care of her property, and he's like, because I like to talk to everybody, right? I'm finding out El Chapo's living in Honduras, and I'm like, well, he lives in his neighborhood. And I'm like, well, how come the U.S. doesn't do anything about this? What's going on? And the past 8 years, Honduras no longer was the country that I grew up in or that I knew or that I used to visit. And so I fell out of love with Honduras, not the people, the country. So what happened, Coop, is over the past a year prior to my move, there was, you all saw the mass exodus of people going to the U.S. There's a shortage of workers in Honduras and Nicaragua today. Severe shortage. I'm sure you see.
It's
Art. I mean, you'll see somebody like Art Garcia for the past 3 months posting, "We need rollers." Yeah, there's factors that there. But what's happening is, in Nicaragua, it's become sustainable because Nicaragua is bringing in people from Cuba. So Cuba operates in a very special way. Like, let's take Venezuela. I'm going to give you the analogy of Venezuela. There's 40,000 Cuban doctors living and working in Venezuela. Why? Because what Cuba does is Venezuela will send petroleum to Cuba, and Cuba, instead of paying them, sends people. So about 3 years ago, Cuba suffered a few hurricanes that were very devastating. So Nicaragua began to export lumber. I'm talking 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 tons of lumber to Cuba. And in return, Esteli has now become like a little mini Cuba. I don't know if you guys are hearing this for the first time or if it's, have you heard anything?
Not about this stuff.
Not about this.
Esteli is becoming
I didn't know about this at all.
The Esteli has become a hub for Cuban tourism. Cubans actually get visas and they want to go to Esteli to visit their families, their friends. And you'll hear interviews of Pepin Garcia talking about how all of his managers are Cuban, people that he's brought over. So Nicaragua has devised a mechanism to keep the cigar industry sustainable by importing Cuban labor. However, a country like Honduras has not been able to do the same thing. It's a lot smaller. There's only 12 producers in Honduras. I think there's if you look at how many cigar factories in Nicaragua, there's about 180 cigar factories in Nicaragua. There's only 12 in Honduras. So
most people don't realize that.
They don't. It costs. I know people will argue this. Every factory runs their operation different, but the minimum wage in Honduras is double of the minimum wage that it is in Nicaragua. I'm not saying that the factories in Nicaragua are paying their people minimum wage, but Honduras has one of the highest minimum wages. Costa Rica is actually the highest. But so all those factors coming into play, and what happened in the past year was
Is that a Tipo Chico?
no, I wish. I'm not marketing to minors. Alan, I love you. I'm just kidding. But first we saw tobacco shortages, right? When I heard there were tobacco shortages, I told some of my guys from Miami, I said, hey, you guys need to go over to Nicaragua and see what you can get your hands on. And the big factories were sending these massive trucks to literally stock cut all the tobacco. And they were taking tobacco. I mean, they were just taking all the tobacco. So little players like us, tobacco was difficult to source. Then I start getting calls that there's no cellophane. We're having trouble getting cellophane. I'm on the phone trying to negotiate a 20-foot container of cellophane from China that's going to cost me like, I don't know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for just the blank rolls of cellophane, right? That then you got to feed into the machines that then spit out. And I'm sitting here like, wait, what business am I in? Am I in the business of fucking buying cellophane from China? Or do I want to focus on the cigar blend?
Well,
Then
when you run your own company, Doc, you're in whatever
Yes.
business you need to be in.
Then
That's the way that goes. I mean,
correct.
We probably need 2 more hours to do a show with you.
But we had suppliers though, and I'll make this quick. Then it goes into the pectin. We had no tobacco glue. The local supplier didn't have any, so I'm calling the local supplier here in the U.S. I got to wait 3 months for their next shipment to come in. And then the nail in the coffin was when we had 300,000 cigars that we had to ship 200,000 to Canada. By the way, plain packaging sucks. Okay, we can talk about that later. And 100,000 were coming into the U.S. And my guys are telling me there's no cardboard boxes in Honduras. So we had to go beg Conrado Plasencia. He had some odd shaped boxes that we took just to get the shipments out.
Right.
So,
well, we're coming on the twilight of this Saturday's episode of KMA Talk Radio. We got Coop's segment coming up. Coop, I know you have one more question. Why don't you go ahead and shoot it? Doc, you got about 3 to 4 minutes to answer this one, but go ahead, Coop.
Okay, why La Aurora? What led into the decision at La Aurora?
That's a great question. I love tradition. I love stable families.
One of the oldest.
Yeah, I love tradition. I love stable families. I have tremendous respect for people that know how to operate in a pre-industry level. I'm a firm believer that anybody can go out there, buy tobacco, and assemble cigars. I think the real craft, the real beauty of the cigar industry is what happens pre-industry, all the factors that take place from farming to curing to fermentation. I know this sounds so redundant, but it's just beautiful. They don't use any tobacco that's less than 4 years aged. Also, they're not really known as a factory that produces for everybody. You know, there's factories out there that are pumping out 370, 80, 90 different brands. And I think the blends really lose authenticity. And I have tremendous respect for the family, their history, for Manuel y Noah, the way they operate. And I'll tell you something, they operate at the speed of a turtle. They're not reactive at all, but I love that because I'm learning that to be in this business, it's about taking your time. And in order for me to build my company to where I need it to be, I need to work with people that I can learn from. And there is no better professor out there for me than La Aurora.
Well, a company with that kind of history, you'd have to believe that that's a fact.
Thank you for that question.
No, Coopso's got a good one. Speaking of Coop,
they really make some. They've made some of the best cigars ever. That factory.
Wow.
I have a lot of respect for that factory.
They do. I think their problem is just on the marketing.
Yeah. I agree with you, Abe, on that.
They don't know how to bring awareness to the consumer and about some of the great products they make.
Manuel Noah is just that guy's a genius. I mean, and some of the stuff
Yes.
he's put together.
But you're also talking about a company that the premium cigar industry probably is 0.0000001
Or yeah,
of their revenue stream. You know, I mean, this is one of the oldest families in Dominican Republic. So,
But that's a good point, and I will say this: that what I discovered, Abe, their premium cigar site is their baby. You know, it's like nothing. There's no shortages in anything there. I walked into a room with only tobacco wrapper, that just left me speechless. For me to build up those types of reserves, I would need 3 lifetimes.
I was going to say, you need generations.
Yeah, you need generations. So I'm really blessed. I'm very fortunate that they were willing to work with me, and I have to thank Frank Herrera for really putting that puzzle together. He felt my pain, and he knew where I needed to be, and I think the tobacco gods are looking out for us.
Good stuff, Doc. We'll continue to wish you continued success.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
That point in the show where it's time to see what is the scoop with Coop.
Hey, yo, what's my theme music?
The Scoop with Coop. Breaking industry news. Hear it first on KMA Talk Radio and cigar-coop.com.
All right, Coop.
Yep.
Run with it.
All right, I know we talked about the NASM stuff, and I know we're short on time, so we'll kind of put that aside. One of the big stories that it actually came out yesterday, I want to say it's not a total surprise. We've been hearing noise about this, but Rick Rodriguez, who was in the role of blender and ambassador for the CAO brand at General Cigar Company, it was announced that he is retiring from the company. So that is effective the end of April.
That's cigar industry code.
Okay.
We call that cigar industry code.
Cigar industry code, yes. We know he's retiring from General. That's what we know.
Right. He's retiring from General. That's about the best way you could say that.
Yeah, yeah. He was with that brand a long time. He was with them for almost 13 years. So that's a long run in the history of the CAO brand. So I think you can look. He's had some successes, and I think and he's very honest because I've interviewed him. He's had some misses, but it was kind of a unique thing. I guess they picked him out of the sales field, and I know he interviewed on both our shows and talked about this. He was picked by Edward Coleman out of the sales field to actually kind of go into this blender role under the tutelage of Benji Menendez, and then he did some stuff around General and La Gloria, and then when CAO was formally assimilated into the company. And the Osgooders were out. Rick was kind of given the reins of that, and he split his time between factory and promoting events in the U.S. So good guy. I like Rick a lot. I wish him the best.
I'm sure we haven't seen the last of Rick Rodriguez.
I'm sure we haven't.
What an awesome interview he gave here too. His story
he did that
awesome,
whole story. I'd encourage folks to go listen to the KMA interview. We had him on as well, where he tells that story. It's a very very interesting story.
What else you got going on, Coop?
Out of another thing coming out of General, but it was big news this week. There's another cigar coming out of El Titan de Bronze under the Cohiba line. They're bringing back the Cohiba Series M. This time it is in the first release was in a Toro. This one's in a Corona Gorda. And that should be hitting the shelves next month. A lot of people like that cigar. There were some people who were indifferent on that cigar. But it kind of was the guy behind who's the brand ambassador for Cohiba is Sean Williams. He had a long-time relationship with Sandy's factory and Sandy, so I could see that happening as well. So that cigar should be hitting the shelves in April, and it will have a price point of $29.99. So it is not a cheap cigar by any means, but it is produced in the U.S.
Cool. Anything else?
And, I guess the last one I'll mention is, I think you guys covered this one already, but Medallia Special Edition has hit the shelves. It's a 5x40 Landes size that was made for McAuliffe Cigars to celebrate Women's Month or International Women's Day. So this is the second year they've done that. Medallia is probably one of their core lines, I would say, for sure. and they release this 5x40 cigar once a year to coincide with International Women's Day, and that's because it's the namesake of someone by the name of Medalia Sanchez. So I know you guys covered it earlier this week, and you had the McAuliffe team on, and I know they talked a bunch about that. So check that out as well.
Awesome presentation, by the way. It was really cool to see that panel.
Yeah,
I watched the whole thing. I loved it.
McAuliffe, I like what they're doing. A lot of the things they're doing right now. I think under Dan's leadership, that the company's really kind of they've kind of focused, and they kind of, I think, know where they're going right now. And they kind of aren't afraid to think out of the box. So good job by those guys.
Cool. Anything else, Koo?
That's it.
Surprised you didn't hit the Cigar Fest story.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to hit that, but yeah, we
Why
can
not?
hit that.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
I think it's great news for us in the Great Smoke.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So Cigar Fest, in all respect to Abe, it was probably the largest cigar event.
It was. It is.
Yeah.
It was.
It was. Okay.
3,000 people, 2 days.
I mean, this was kind of it's an event up in Pennsylvania. I've never gone to it because it was
I have.
Okay, and it's massive. Okay, it's a massive event, and it was an event that was a ticketed event, and people would actually stand outside the store for like overnight to get.
It would sell out in days.
Yeah,
and hundreds of people would go every year just to tailgate who couldn't even get a ticket to the event.
Yeah,
that became problematic. They stopped allowing tailgating and hanging out during the event.
Yeah,
but yeah. I mean, you look, in developing the Great Smoke, I spent time going around the country, going to a lot of cigar events, and that was definitely one of them that we looked at. But as far as we know, that is without a doubt the biggest.
And what happened is they announced they're going to break the event up into regional events over a 5-week period, and each Cigars International store will host one of those. Usually, when I see something like that happen, it usually means the event's in trouble, right? Because whenever I see something going from national to regional, I kind of think there may be, but I don't think this was the case. I think it was just the case where this was too big an event. And I don't know, I haven't talked to them yet on this. I actually wonder if COVID played a little bit into this right now, where, they've gotten shut down 2 years in a row. So it's an all or nothing deal. And now by doing this regional, if there's something that happens going down the line, they can still get some of these events in. And it allows people who are local that don't have to get on a plane. They don't have to go get these tickets. So it does expand the national. So I think it was more that the event may have just gotten too big, and they wanted to really bring this event out on a national basis.
I don't think there was any real strategic reasoning in a positive fashion of why it was done. My main gut feeling is it was a venue issue. And when you have an event that big,
could be too, yeah.
When you have an event that big, you're not finding another place.
Yeah. And they were at a resort the last couple of years. So
the Poconos. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's been away there for a while.
Point, Abe.
And I mean, that event was so massive, and I know what they got and how it was. And it wasn't that it wasn't a good, profitable event with them. I'm pretty sure it's an extensively profitable event for them. I think it just got too big. My gut feeling would tell me they had a venue problem. Because when you start saying people can't tailgate anymore, and you start doing stuff like that, you know it's getting a little too rowdy. That's not coming from them. That's coming from the resort, because obviously there probably have been some issues, and it's just a lot of people. But we were surprised to hear it, and I think for us, it just opens the door for the Great Smoke now, hopefully becoming the biggest cigar event in the country. All you Cigar Fest people, look up the Great Smoke. It's where you want to be next year.
Yeah. Yeah, Abe, I'm just curious. Was it tailgating that goes on? And I never get there early enough. Is it tailgating that goes on at the Great Smoke at the fairgrounds?
We've never had tailgating. This was the first time in 16 years.
We had one, and
it was one guy. So I'll tell you something funny. We've never had tailgating. It's never happened. And it was a phenomenon that when I went to Cigar Fest, it was prolific. I'm talking about hundreds of people. And it wasn't a one-day tailgate. They tailgated the whole 4 or 5 days. They didn't even have tickets to the event. That's how insane it was. So this year, while we were setting up, I looked down the parking lot. I see a couple folding out chairs, having a beer, having a cigar. I'm like, is this really like the first tailgater ever? Now, I've already been messaged by people who not only want to tailgate next year, the morning of, but are trying to coordinate like parties. So tailgating that is going to, I strongly feel, is going to become very prolific at the Great Smoke now in the next couple of years. You could say it started with Kojak, a smoking socialite, Douglas Kassir, smoking socialite. He actually was the first guy to ever tailgate at the Great Smoke.
I'll say this because we had Cigar Dave used to do a big event in Charlotte at the Ballantine Resort, and we tailgated for that event for many years, and it's a lot of fun, those morning tailgates and smokes and coffee, and multiple of those things happen. And as long as I guess the venue is fine with it, I think it's another extension that you could bring to this event that would really, like I said, just capture people more attention to come to it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
The local chapter of a national cigar group's already reached out to me and they want to coordinate something. So tailgate will be a function of the Great Smoke 2023 Mardi Gras Madness without a doubt.
Be cool.
But
I think it'll be really good. I think that's exciting.
Yeah, I can't say we were disappointed when we heard this news. I was surprised, but
it's gonna be interesting to see how companies are gonna be going crazy trying to support 8 of these. So I think it's gonna be, I don't think you'll have all the personalities at all 8 stores now.
One of the reasons why we never do more than one Great Smoke, that people ask us all the time. I can't imagine going back to all these manufacturers. Hey, can we do this again in the fall? No.
No, I think once a year is enough, and it gives you, it would dilute it. I think that's why I was kind of saying, when I see something go regional, I normally say it's diluted. I don't think it's going to be the same when they do this, so they're going to have a lot of work to do as far as that goes. I think Drew Estate's done it well with the barn smokers, because they're different themes and they're different farms, and I get that, right? And a lot of people go to multiple barn smokers, but I think a CI thing is going to be a little more difficult to do that.
Yeah, I think logistics aren't going to make for the same kind of event, but I think that's what they were left to do, and they didn't want to lose all that draw. So, that being said, keep up with Coop more at cigar-coop.com. Check him out. We have 2 more segments to close our show. Dr. Kafie, don't go away. You're one of the stars of our last segment. But now it's time. We've been waiting for a while. It's Tail of the Tape, Season 4.
All right, here we go. Tail of the Tape, Season 4, long delayed, but let's get it started. Coming in at number 10 for me is the Philadelphia Flyers Gritty. To be honest with you, if Gritty was around for like 10 more years, he might be my number 1. Hard to describe. Gritty is like the drug-addicted abomination of an ugly mascot that like crawled out of the Philadelphia sewers. But he's become an internet sensation. A Twitter sensation. Philadelphia has grown to love him, and he's probably most recognized for streaking in the nude across Philadelphia Flyers games. So he's brought a little bit of insanity back to mascots. Go ahead, Coop. Oh, unmute. Rookie move, long delay. It's all right.
All right, yeah. Gritty, man. Philadelphia's got some iconic mascots, but Gritty has come to the top real quick. I mean, he is really taken off. I mean, he's very new. So good pick by that. But I went with the Phoenix Suns Gorilla. And he's a pretty polarizing mascot, the Gorilla. Some people love him. Some people hate him. But I love like I said, he's known for these incredible dunks and an incredible agility doing these dunks. And I just think, okay, he's not the most exciting or original mascot character, but it's how he performs that really, I think, entertains and does what a mascot needs to do. So I went with Phoenix Suns Gorilla as my number 10.
Yeah, the Gorilla's a high flyer. He's a high flyer.
Is. I mean, I think basketball's got some of the best mascots. Yeah, I think basketball mascots.
This is what's great about this season that, I don't give a shit what any of you say. I mean, this is literally just a list of who we like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's the prerequisite for what makes a great mascot is very subjective.
Right. There's no statistics you got to keep up with and look or examine.
Right.
My question is more towards the criteria now. Are we sticking to professional sport mascots?
No.
Okay, so it could be college mascots too.
Yeah, we said any. Yeah.
Oh wow.
It could even be independent leagues, right? Like if you go to like independent baseball or something, you could have somebody.
All right.
Mascot.
Tale of the Tape, episode number 1, season 4 has been completed. And there you have their picks. We'll keep up, hopefully, until we find out who their number 1 is. Now, this is our newest segment. Traditionally, we close out every KMA episode with the Cigar Insane Asylum. But we have a new segment starting today, which Dr. Gabie Kafie will be the first person to do it. And it's called Would You Rather? There you go. Special thanks to Juan Lopez of Gurkha Cigars for being our model for our intro segment, and to my kids who did the voiceover for that.
Nice.
Reel.
Yeah,
Yes,
good job.
that was my kids who did it. All right, you ready, Doctor?
I'm ready, man. I mean, I don't even know what to expect. Go ahead. But I know it's,
I got
if it's
three-
from Juan. Go ahead.
I got 3 questions for you. They don't have to be deeply philosophical. You can
All
just
right.
give us your choices and why, if you want. Ready? Would you rather be in jail for 5 years or in a coma for 10 years?
Holy shit. I'll take jail for 5. 10 years is a lot, considering the life expectancy went
Well-
down with COVID.
10 years is instantaneously, though, in a coma.
Shit.
You go to bed, you wake up.
Listen, I know what a human body looks like 2 weeks after being in a coma, and it's
There's a
fucking-
doctor's answer.
Yeah, all right. So,
All right. Would you rather give up air conditioning and heating for the rest of your life or give up the internet for the rest of your life?
oh my God, that's like giving up Coca-Cola, air conditioning, or fuck the internet. I want air
Wow.
conditioning. Yeah.
I'm with Doc on this one. Fuck the
Wow.
internet.
I mean,
In South
give
Florida,
up Facebook,
you
give
gotta.
up Facebook politics. I'm in for
Yeah.
air conditioning.
Yeah, I'm not giving up AC and heat. So,
I'll write letters and send them to everyone.
hey, Paul, you know you have a graphic. Paul, you know you have a graphic for this, right? Can you throw it up there? I want to
I
test it
do.
out and see how it works.
It does?
So, last question, Doc. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here you go. Would you rather be royalty 1,000 years ago or just an average person today?
Wow. You know what? It depends the country you live in, but I'd rather be an average person today.
Yeah, man, they're killing all the royalty.
Most
years ago.
royalty get their heads
Spending their
chopped off.
lives like every other month.
Most royalty get their heads chopped off. I'd rather be an average person today because you have the potential to become royalty.
There you have it. And there's our first episode of Would You Rather.
I like that.
Great questions, man.
Yeah, that was good.
Fun segment.
Yep.
Does that graphic not work, Paul? I was hoping to test it out this week.
I honestly have not received it.
Yeah, I don't see a graphic.
It was in I told you, Alex, when you downloaded the video for the intro, it's in the Dropbox. There's a graphic in the same Dropbox. We'll test it later. But there's a graphic in the same Dropbox. All right, next week. It's gonna be a hot topic again. We got Risty Riavetsky of JSK Cigars.
Ristevsky. Don't go by his Facebook
They're all the
name.
same. So we got him next week. Should be a very interesting show. We hope you enjoyed this very interesting KMA radio episode. And a great way to start your Saturday. But until next week, everyone, keep it lit.